To kick off 2023, here's a roundup of the absolute best value for money Android phones, ranging from $100 to $200, all budget phones released in the last year, as opposed to older flagships that dropped in price. It's always interesting to see how many mid-range to premium features phone companies can squeeze into cheap options, and these picks today have the absolute most possible of those features at their respective price points. I spent weeks scouring the web for these picks, so I'm very confident in their quality, and if your budget is $100 to $200, I'm sure there's a phone here that you'll really like. First off, there's the $182 Redmi Note 11e Pro. The Redmi series has been a persistent heavy hitter in the budget phone world, offering a lot of phones every year with impressive specs at the prices. But they also released 41 phones in 2022, up 70% from the year before, making the process of sorting through those options less than ideal. But I've done the work for you here and come out with the Redmi Note 11e Pro as the best option from that list, just shy of $200. So the first impressive element of this phone is the screen. It's a 6.7-inch 120Hz OLED that edges ridiculously close to flagship quality. Now, the max brightness is 1200 nits, so it's slightly less bright than the year's flagships, and it is 1080p+, but I think those last two specs are far less important than the refresh rate and OLED tech that really set the screen at a level generally untouched at this price. Now, this phone is powered by the Snapdragon 695 and 6GB of RAM, and that combo benchmarks a little bit above the Pixel 5a. This phone will provide solid mid-range performance, and I'd expect smooth everyday use, as the 695 should have enough power to fill out that refresh rate and keep things pushing in Android 11. It's worth mentioning there's another phone with the same chip and amount of RAM as this one, called the OnePlus Nord CE2 Lite, yet another ridiculously long name. But that phone's been getting some praise recently for similar reasons as the Redmi, and while it's out of the price range of this video, if you want to know more about the performance of the Note 11e Pro, I'd recommend looking into reviews and tests of the Nord CE2 Lite, as there's a lot more coverage of that phone out there. And working our way into the less outstanding features, we arrive at the camera system. Don't be fooled by the 108 megapixel spec here. You're absolutely not going to get photos that even come close to the lowest resolution flagship that came out this year, something like the 12 megapixels in the iPhone 14. For reference, that iPhone has a score of 133 on DxOMark, while the Redmi camera system has a 78. From example photos and videos I've seen, this phone has a good amount of cheap phone camera issues, stuff like unpredictable exposures, bad dynamic range, and abysmally bad video. To be fair, this is all pretty average for phones at this price, so don't think of this as a con, but just how budget phones are. The only real way to evade the camera quality at this price is to pick up an older and/or used more expensive phone, something like this crazy deal on a used Pixel 6 that's $220. That's not the focus of this video though, as I'm supposed to cover phones new in age and condition, so you have to let me know if you want more stuff like that for a potential future video. Getting back on topic, the Note 11e Pro arranges the mediocre lenses pretty fancily on the back of this phone, and then rounding things out from there, the screen glass is Gorilla Glass 5, and the screen itself covers an impressive 86% of the front of this phone. It's also got a fingerprint reader, a 5000 mAh battery, and 67-watt fast charging, all of which complete this package of a $182 budget phone. Before we move on, let me just quickly let you know, I put the cheapest prices I could find to all these phones as links in the description below, so feel free to hop on those. Next up is the $165, unfortunately named Infinix Hot 25G. This is a lesser known company and brand than Redmi, but they're trying to move the needle through both aggressively sponsoring popular tech YouTubers and actually making some good phones. I respect that second strategy more though, and do know this video is not sponsored in any way for any of the options. The Hot 25G follows the pattern set by the first, in that its most impressive feature is the screen. It's got a 6.6-inch 120Hz IPS screen that maxes out at 500 nits brightness and 1080p+ resolution. The refresh rate is of course at a flagship level, and while we know IPS screens are worse than OLED, I've praised them on cheap phones in the past, and here I'd expect perfectly good-looking visuals. This phone is powered by the Dimensity 810 from MediaTek and 4GB of RAM, and that chip is, simply put, worse than the Snapdragon 695 from the Note 11e Pro. But at the same time, it'll no doubt provide performance in the same ballpark as the previous option, Android 12 overall fast, but with no crazy responsiveness or performance overhead. And then the Hot 25G has a 50 megapixel main in a dual lens system that's f1.6, but again, don't get too excited as these photos get the cheap phone special. Exposure issues, bad dynamic range, and non-existent post-processing are obvious in a good number of photos taken with this phone. In a nutshell, you could probably get good snaps with a decent level of effort, and good video never. Rounding out the section on the Infinix Hot 25G, this phone has a fingerprint reader, an 82% screen-to-body ratio, a 5000 mAh battery, and 18-watt fast charging. Overall, a compelling option at $165. Next on the chopping block, there's the $142 Poco M5. Poco is a brand from the same company as Redmi, but thankfully there's a lot less of them, making my job easier in picking the Poco M5 as the one that's going to settle into this list. Talking about the screen, first off, we've been on a roll with impressive refresh rates for all the phones on the list thus far, and the 90Hz of the Poco M5 is very good. That refresh rate falls into a 6.6-inch display that uses IPS tech and maxes out at 500 nits brightness and 1080p plus resolution. To rehash what I said about IPS screens a bit ago, this tech becomes more outdated with every passing year, but it's still good for budget phones, and in this particular one, it'll get you nice visuals. This phone is powered by the Helio G99 paired with 4GB of RAM, and that chip's a good number of steps above entry level that should bring workable everyday performance on Android 12. I know I've been saying similar stuff about the performance of all these phones because it's hard to describe this stuff in words, but to put it in numbers, the Antutu scores of these three phones are 395,000, 385,000, and 355,000. And I'd say that actually sums up things pretty well performance-wise. And the Poco M5's triple camera system with a 50 megapixel main tells the same story as basically all the cameras thus far. Don't even think about taking video, and you'll have to put in the effort to get decent to good looking photos. Rounding things out with this phone, there's a fingerprint reader, Gorilla Glass 3 on the screen, and it has an 84% screen to body ratio. There's also a 5000 mAh battery and 18-watt fast charging, rounding things out with this compelling $142 phone. Now, the Note 11e Pro, Hot 25G, and Poco M5 were the main players in this video as they brought the most standout features in this $100 to $200 price category. That was stuff like processors better than the prices would imply, and high refresh rate screens across all three options. But I'm going to finish up the video with two even cheaper options if you want to stick to the ultra budget side of things, the Redmi 10C and the Realme C30. These two are $126 and $100 respectively. The more expensive Redmi 10C is powered by a Snapdragon chip, the 680, and 3GB of RAM, while the Redmi C30 has the Unisoc Tiger T612 and 2GB of RAM. Now let's say the obvious, these phones will have the worst performance of any of the phones on this list. But that's not so much the point as is they still offer great performance relative to their prices. While it's far from a top-of-the-line chip, it's good to see a Snapdragon chip here, and I actually used a phone with a Unisoc chip very similar to the T612 as my main phone for several months last summer, so there will be workable performance with Android 11 on both the Redmi 10C and Realme C30. On the front of the phones, there's 60Hz 1080p plus screens taking up about 82% of the front of the phones at sizes of about 6.5 inches, and both max out at 400 nits brightness and don't offer anything special, but they're also fine at the price. And as for the cameras, the Realme C30 doesn't even try with a single camera with very bad specs, while the Redmi 10C has a dual camera system with a 50 megapixel main. The 10C undoubtedly gets the cheap phone special, but I will say its photos actually probably look pretty good relative to those from the 8 megapixel C30 camera. And finally, to cover the features that make the Redmi 10C more expensive, that phone has a fingerprint reader, Gorilla Glass on the screen, faster charging at 18 watts, and the better internals we discussed earlier. Again, ultra budget options at $126 and $100. Overall though, all 5 of these budget phones in the $100 to $200 price category deliver excellent value, and it's crazy to think you could buy all of them for the price of one flagship these days. But that's how diminishing returns works, and you generally get better value with cheaper phones, and especially the ones in this list. Definitely check out those links below to pick up one of these phones if you're so inclined, subscribe if you got something out of this video, and I'll see you later.